The fighting game community has been rocked by allegations of financial mismanagement. The allegations were made by tournament and crowdfunding platform Matcherino against Arturo NYC Furby Sanchez, a Street Fighter player and tournament organizer. Now, a Matcherino source has confirmed to me that they plan to further address the allegations in the coming weeks. So let's dive in and take a calm look at the hard facts. Guys, before we get into the video, we like to take the time and care to make sure we get these stories right, and we love covering the FGC. So if you enjoy the video, feel free to drop a like and hit us up in the comments. And if you're not already subscribed and you want to support our work, that's a great way to do it. Cheers. Okay, so really quick, let's explain what Matcherino is. They're a company that was founded in 2015 that are an easy way for tournament organizers to handle tournament brackets, crowdfunding, and payouts all in one webpage, essentially. On December 30th, 2022, Matcherino issued the following statement about Arturo Sanchez. It said that he had, quote, broken their terms of service by mishandling prize pool funds. So for the uninitiated, who is Arturo Sanchez? Also known as NYC Furby or TS Sabin, Arturo is a member of the NYC FGC, a professional Street Fighter 5 player sponsored by Beast Coast and a prodigious tournament organizer. He is also the single biggest fundraiser on Matcherino.
Through his contributions in Matcherino, was generated $478,442.80 towards this poverty-stricken community where you have all of these people competing, putting their lives on, I say lives on the line because you sacrifice, you cannot get your time back.
Art is probably today best known for two things: organizing fighting game events and trying to optimize them on PC. I'm not trying to minimize Art's abilities as a player because he's qualified for Capcom Cup this year, and quite frankly, his Dhalsim is just insane. But his playing doesn't have anything to do with the accusations, not really, because what he's being accused of by Matcherino is breaking their terms of service. To fully disclose things, I've had great interactions with both Matcherino and Arturo. I've done quests on the Matcherino site to help contribute to prize pools, and I've watched plenty of events put on by Arturo, even subbed to his Twitch channel from time to time. So now that we know the players involved, after the Matcherino tweet, Art replied that things looked bad, but that it was a misunderstanding. He agreed that the payments from the last couple months had been late due to personal issues, but said that he had paid Matcherino back the full amount that was due to players and that they would soon confirm that. A few days later, Art took to his stream to try and communicate his side, and after about an hour, he was joined in that stream by Rob TV, but there were some inconsistencies in the account. For example, where is that money that was being discussed? Was it in his PayPal account or was it in the Matcherino account?
You know, like, what's the difference between, if that money's sitting in your bank account, what's the difference between that and me and taking that money and buying sneakers with it? You know what I'm saying? Well, either way, if I take that money and it's sitting in my house,
you mean if it's still
not where it's supposed to be?
You mean if it's still sitting in the Matcherino account? Like, you mean if it's still sitting in the Matcherino account, not paid? Yeah.
Okay, but I thought when you paid it out to NYC Furby, like PayPal.
He seemed a bit shaken throughout, honestly, and the stream probably didn't do much to clear things up. It was later delisted, but he did touch on a bunch of things I'll return to in a moment. But before we move on, let's be clear on one thing. If Art did fail to pay out on time, then that is a breach of the Matcherino TOS.
There were a lot of people that I didn't pay out on time. Yeah, so I was one of them. So like I do apologize for that once again.
So on this count, at least, Art admits that he f***ed up. He should have paid people on time. He didn't. And that is a breach of the TOS, so Matcherino was within their rights to ban him, and they have. It really does suck that it seems like personal issues involving his dad's health were involved here, but at the same time, people might be relying on that money, and it's important that it gets paid out in a timely manner for a lot of reasons.
While people were blowing me up to do like a lot of things, like I was actually like in the ER, like for like weeks. Like I wasn't looking at nobody's phone, man, and I wasn't making any of this known like to public. Like until this stuff came out, I did not make any of this public. Like, do you think I want to say on Twitter that, oh, like, you know, I'm in the ER, my family's near death? No, I would never want to say that, man. It sucks to even have to talk about it on stream.
And at this point, it seems like no one's disputing these facts. Now, if Art did pay back the outstanding amount, and if Matcherino did say that they would confirm that publicly, I can understand why he thought that this thing would be over pretty soon. Unfortunately, we never got that confirmation from Matcherino, and if you ask me, it's probably because as soon as these initial claims came out, they probably received more accounts from other people. Whether those accounts are real, just errors, or intentionally malicious, it's hard to say, but they bear looking into no matter what because Matcherino is kind of dealing with their half of the situation. In the meantime, other claims started to crop up about Art. So let's put aside the issue of late payment for now, because he admits that he paid late. It is a breach of the Matcherino TOS, and there's really not much else to say about that. Okay, let's look at the second thing that people were saying about Art. Some noticed that in the past, Art had paid out the prize pool of tournaments that he had run to himself. Now, this isn't necessarily something that's that surprising because you can find other tournament organizers doing the same thing on Matcherino. In Art's case, he said that sometimes a player didn't have a Matcherino, or the player didn't speak English and the site is an English site. You know, there's a lot of things that could prevent somebody from logging into the Matcherino site. In those cases, he would pay them out manually to their PayPal or sometimes even use cash.
So I'll go over some specific times. So number one, when one of the players did not have like a Matcherino ID or I could not contact them, like those are the times where I paid myself and I paid them off site. Right, that's number one. Right, there were also like events where I was dealing with international players that did not have a Matcherino account, did not know how to navigate the site. Those are the times where I paid myself, and I've paid them, and I pretty much do have receipts for it.
Now, according to Art, this was a thing that he sometimes had to do, and Matcherino understood that. Now, based on public information, it's hard to say for sure if Matcherino definitely knew that Arturo was doing this, but I can say that other TOs have done it as well, and he says that they knew that it was sometimes necessary and it was okay. So paying yourself out a prize pool to a tournament does look kind of suspicious, but bear with me for a moment. If Arturo was just scooping entire prize pools since he started doing events on Matcherino, where are all the people whose money is missing? And like I said earlier, I think probably this accusation has caused a lot of people to triple check their receipts and see if maybe there was a payment that they were supposed to receive that they didn't. And that's totally fine. In a lot of those cases, there might be something that was just missed, there could be errors, or who knows, there could be things that were literally withheld, but I haven't seen much evidence of that. So that leads us to the third claim, and that is that Arturo was skimming a percentage from the prize pools. First off, let's go to Art's words on this.
People are under this impression that I take that like, you know, I was under salary from Matcherino and taking cuts. Guys, the reality is this. From October of last year until late this year, until maybe like the last month or two before I got let go, I was actually an unpaid employee of Matcherino. That is right. I was working for them for free. Not only was I working for them for free, I was actually still donating to pots. And from October of last year. So basically, every tournament that I was doing on the Matcherino platform, I was taking a loss to actually feed the players.
Art says he was working for free basically, but his coworkers at Matcherino knew that he would be taking a cut from prize pools to cover expenses.
I made public on these VODs, and you can actually go through my entire YouTube channel. There have been many times, multiple times actually, where I've said on stream, and I made it aware to the players that yes, like I did take a cut to pay for expenses. So there's been times where like I said like 10-15%, and it's actually documented on record on VODs.
So now we need to talk about cuts on Matcherino, and this is something that's built into the core website functionality. It is absolutely possible for a tournament organizer to take a cut of the funds, as demonstrated in this tutorial video by Matcherino CEO and co-founder Grant Farwell.
By default, Matcherino makes it so there's first place 60%, second place 40%. Now let's go ahead and add another payout. I'll make this one a little different. Let's add a caster fee. And let's make that caster fee not a percentage, let's just make it $20.
So you can see a breakdown like this on some pages. For example, this Jazzy Circuit event, not affiliated with Arturo, shows that the TO is taking half the prize pool. And in this case, you can see that the event description just calls out the fact that the streamer will receive a cut. What I'm trying to say is that Matcherino literally does allow tournament organizers to take a cut, either a flat fee or a percentage from the prize pool. And if you set up the event yourself, you can see that it's possible to hide these fees. But in the case of the events that Arturo ran on the Matcherino website, the page typically didn't show this. In that previous clip, Arturo talked about how he mentioned the cut as well on stream during these events. I didn't have time to scrub through literally thousands of VODs because that's how many events that Art has helped the FGC put on, so I couldn't necessarily confirm that. He also pointed to a DM with Elvin Shadow, who's the CEO of Frosty Faustings, which seems to imply that at least this tournament organizer was aware that Art was taking a cut. The DM says that, quote, the Matcherino page, end quote, said 15%, and I showed you that event earlier. So Art has admitted to the late payment thing. He said that he messed up and that he was sorry for that, but I think that this prize pool cut thing is really the issue that people will focus on going forward. I haven't been able to get any receipts about whether Matcherino knew or didn't know about Arturo taking this cut, which he also said he only took after he was taken off salary. If Arturo was under the impression that Matcherino knew, hopefully he has some receipts for that and will present them soon. The Elvin Shadow DM is a good start, but he doesn't work for Matcherino. It may prove that some tournament organizers were aware of the cut, and honestly, I'm sure some were, but did Matcherino know? We don't know yet. So where does this go from here? Well, a source at Matcherino was able to confirm to me that the company is planning a live stream to further address the situation in the coming weeks, although they weren't able to say exactly when it would be. And Mr. Fnatic, a former Marvel 3 player and a Twitch streamer, did his own stream defending Arturo this week that included some receipts, while many others have reserved judgment until we get some more information. Art was banned from some East Coast tournaments and removed from Team Spooky, but his sponsor hasn't dropped him yet, and some of the biggest names in the scene don't seem to want to talk about it. Okay, one last word on this situation for me. Arturo made a lot of the FGC happen, and you can't just take that away from him. But we also need trust, and that starts with transparency. If Art took cuts and the right people didn't know, that's stealing, and I'm not going to defend that. Even if I also accept that he should be getting paid something for the work that he's putting into these events. Of course he should. On the flip side, I'm not going to pretend that Arturo was always trash and terrible for the FGC. And I'm definitely not going to hassle the man for trying to unwind with the game that he loves while this whole thing is still ongoing. At this point, it kind of feels like we're waiting for Matcherino to say what they believe they're still owed by Arturo and what they want him to do about it. In the meantime, this thing will drag on until we get the eventual live stream that I mentioned, or perhaps until we get some more receipts from Arturo's side. But frankly, I can't see how the current situation helps anyone.